Coming at you live from America's podcast studio, Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. The landscape contractor and green industry platform for success. This is the Podscape, brought to you by LMN Software.
And welcome everyone to the Podscape. Good morning. All right, it feels good to be on the air bright and early as you guys are headed into work or already in the shop. So thank you for tuning in to the Podscape, sponsored by LMN Software. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about landscape scheduling. And we're going to talk about landscape scheduling for the main reason that there are many landscape jobs going on today, right this minute, that don't use a formal scheduling method. And all I got to do is ask myself, why? Why are you not using a scheduling method? And that's what we're going to talk about on today's episode. Before we get started today, I want to give a big shout out to LMN Software because none of this would be possible without them. I've personally been using their software in my own company, and so far it's been a complete game changer for my business. LMN is the most comprehensive landscape business management software in the industry. From budgeting, estimating, CRM, time tracking, and so much more, it's a simple do-it tool for your landscape business and provides a platform to scale your company to the next level. And the best part about LMN is they have a free version, which you can begin using today if you choose to. Just visit golmn.com/free to learn more and start taking advantage of the software that's helped me grow my business into a successful, sustainable, and profitable company. That's golmn.com/free. golmn.com/free.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about landscape scheduling. Scheduling is a process, ladies and gentlemen. It is. And LMN Software can actually help you schedule your jobs. I mean, it really can. So you need to take a look at LMN. But first and foremost, you need to understand what scheduling is. It is a process. It is a sequence of tasks. It is a list of things that need to get done before you can move on to the next thing. You got to understand this sequence. And that is very critical to completing your project on time. Whether it's a big commercial job, residential job, whatever it is, you've got to schedule your tasks. Now, you're already in a scheduling mode when you're doing your estimating. You are, because when you sit down and you do your takeoff, you're thinking, okay, got to dig the footers. If you're building a big retaining wall, if you're building a pool, you got to, excavate the dirt out. Whatever it is that you're doing, you're automatically thinking sequence of tasks. It's funny how we forget about this, though, when we move into the implementation of the job, the actual build, the actual doing the work. A lot of times we forget that because these jobs might be 6 months out, especially commercial jobs. We might be bidding on a job that's a year out. They haven't even bought the land yet, much less done anything construction-wise. But once they start the construction job, they jump on it. Some of these construction jobs are built in 2 months or 3 months or less. Fast food restaurants, gas stations, a lot of the stuff that we've done, time to build, 90 days maximum. They're in and out, the GC, And so they've got their schedule lined up to a T, and you have to fit into that schedule. But you need to know the sequence of tasks to get the job done, to get paid on time. You need to know your activity duration. When you're creating your estimate, you've determined how many personnel hours that you need and how long it's going to take you to complete the task you have. You're going to take into consideration the size of the project, the labor hours estimated, and the length of time dedicated to each task for each day of the project, for each week of the project, maybe even each month, depending on how big it is. You might be a residential contractor that builds outdoor kitchens. That's not going to be built in 2 weeks, right? It's going to probably take 2 months. So you've got to take in things like contingency time, task time ranges, your float time. Contingency time, that's a buffer between tasks to protect you against unforeseen delays. Snowstorm, rain, floods, tornadoes, acts of God, things that you can't stop. Your task time ranges. What is the earliest and latest start dates you can have? And the earliest and latest completion date that you can have. You start putting this on paper, you can see the flow of tasks and how you can complete the project. Your flow time is the time remaining after a task is completed and before the next time you start to do something. The next task at hand. Are you able to use that float time? But scheduling is that process. And there's 3 methods that we can use to schedule our landscape jobs. We can use a calendar, we can use a bar chart, or we can use a critical path method. The calendar schedule easily links project tasks to specific dates. Literally, you take a calendar and you put it on your desk and you write it out. Erosion control, silt fence, day 1 on March 5th. March 6th, we start grading. March 9th, we start doing this. You physically write it on the calendar what you're going to do. Bar chart scheduling is when you show the activities, duration, and sequence of tasks to be completed. And I love a bar chart because basically it looks like a Microsoft Word Excel file. And in that column, you've got all of your tasks listed. And up top, you've got your days, whether it be months, weeks, or days. So we could use March, the 4 weeks in March, the 4 weeks in April, and the 4 weeks in May. And you got those listed. And then down each column, you kind of fill it in where you are at that time. So you could look down and say, oh, the second week in April, we'll be down doing this task. And it kind of flows right to left as the job's completed in your bar chart. Critical path method illustrates the interdependency or the independent relations of each task. It shows you which events can be done simultaneously. There's certain things on a landscape job that can be done at the same time. You know, somebody could be installing landscape lighting while someone is doing the irrigation. You don't want to be putting down sod when you're still running irrigation trenches, though, can you? No. So you can kind of align which jobs are going to work well together. And then that critical path is the sequence of tasks that determines the duration of the project. So it's basically talking about the critical chunks of the job. You know, one would be grading, one would be, installation of the irrigation system, but what can be going on at the same time as irrigation? Landscape lighting, right? When you're doing the heads, when you're setting the heads on the irrigation system, you could probably be going to do your mulching. You could be doing your sodding. But you can't be doing none of that rough grading or trenching the same time you're putting out sod. That would be shown up in a critical path method. Scheduling has a lot to do with your cash flow. You've got to track incoming cash and expenses during the project to ensure you have enough working capital to complete the job. You got to have these draws scheduled. Mr. and Ms. Smith, I need a chunk of change. We've got X amount of stuff done on your project. We'd like to get a payment. Now, that's not going to happen in commercial jobs unless the job is multi-months, because it's going to take 30 days to get the pay application submitted and payments. That's just the way that's going to work. But if you're doing a big residential job, 3-month, outdoor kitchen job, you're going to get a deposit and you're going to get a couple draws in there as well. But working capital is the amount of cash available after your liabilities and debts are paid. So you need that money coming in so you can pay your subcontractors, pay your suppliers, pay your employees. Because what if you run out of money? Your subs ain't going to show up, your employees are going to quit, and your suppliers are going to cut you off. Don't let one job tie up that much capital. So what is project management? Project management is the process of managing time through the scheduling process, but also takes these into consideration. The budget, the standards of how you want the job completed, the plans and specifications, the drawings, and then that 4-inch 3-ring binder of specifications on how to build the project, and then resource management such as labor and materials. All of that encompasses project management. And you got to have a project manager that's going to be able to do all these things for you. They're going to plan and coordinate the project to meet the overall goals of the project and serve as the main contact with the owner. So this is going to be your individual that's going to wear a nice polo, a nice, business attire, khaki pants. They're going to dress business casual more than likely. They're going to be working in the office. They're going to be in contact with the owner. They're going to be the one kind of submitting the draws, getting those payment applications submitted. They're the ones that's going to take care of the funds for the job. They have a lot of responsibilities, a project manager. They do. I mean, for one, they're estimating the job. They're overseeing it. They're going to prepare the budgets. They're going to look at all the shop drawings and construction details that are focused on that job. They're going to determine the labor needed for the job. They're going to prepare the schedule. They're going to monitor the progress of the project. They're going to prepare job records. They're going to monitor compliance with the building and safety codes. They got a lot on their plate, to be honest with you. And then they're going to handle all change orders. Customer doesn't like this, they're going to call the project manager. Hey, we want to change this tree. We don't like it. What do we need to do? Well, we got to submit a change order. And then they're regularly going to meet with these owners. They're going to meet with trade contractors, your subcontractors, and the design professionals. They're going to meet with the landscape architect. And they're going to track the progress of the job. And so who is this project manager? What qualities are they going to possess? What is he or she going to be able to do for you? For one, they better be able to communicate well, both verbally and written. I shouldn't have added that LY to that. But they're going to be able to communicate via email, text, voice. They got to be able to communicate with the owners, the subcontractors, your superintendent. They need to be honest. They need to have integrity. They got to be positive. And they need to be able to delegate tasks that need to be done. And they need to build morale for this construction team. They're the ones that's going to make you the money. They are the project manager, the one that is in control of the landscape job.
Eric the Turf Teacher Jones. Oh, yeah! Teaching you life lessons, business strategies, and leadership.
Let's grow together.
If you're needing irrigation, landscape, or pesticide credits, check out my website at turfteacher.com. Every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m., we host Turf Talk Tuesday for pesticide credits and have online courses for both irrigation and landscape contractors. There are also several opportunities to get your credits at one of our seminars that we do throughout the southeastern United States and information on our Christmas lighting course. Check it out again at turfteacher.com. All right, so now we know who our project manager is. What about our project supervisory team? Who are these people going to be? We're going to have a superintendent. This is going to be someone responsible for the daily operations of the entire project. Whether it's commercial, residential, this individual needs to be able to take a set of blueprints and read it, see the plan in 2D, and be able to see the project completed and know what it's going to look like. That takes a highly skilled individual. They're going to also have to coordinate project activities, and they're going to serve as a liaison with subcontractors, architects, inspectors, the utility companies. Anybody that comes on that job site is going to really report to the superintendent. And that is a big, big void in the construction and landscape industry right now. We need people to fill this position. We do. People call the college all the time wanting to know if they can, hire students in a supervisory position already. They're wanting to make them assistant superintendents, so within 6 months to a year, they can be a superintendent on a job. But they're going to participate in all the construction development and planning. They're going to process utility requests for construction projects. They're going to represent your company regarding on-site construction quality control reviews. It is up to them. It is up to them to make sure the things are done correctly and up to par. They're going to make recommendations and process change order requests. They're going to review the punch list that may come in from the architect or the owner. And they're going to assure construction specifications are met. And they're going to track any deviation from the project schedules and the cost associated with that. So again, they're going to be tracking anything that pulls away from that schedule. Why is it not on schedule? You're going to have to ask the superintendent because they are the one in charge. You're going to have a foreman. They're going to assist the superintendent with the daily operations. They're going to review project plans and blueprints, just like the superintendent. They're going to provide input on estimated time, materials, equipment, and supplies needed. They're going to develop schedules and crew assignments, inspect the work that's completed, evaluate employee and subcontractor performance, complete timesheets, accident reports, and work orders, and train employees that come to the job site. So your superintendent and foreman, that is the main difference. But everybody will answer to the superintendent. Materials expediter. They supervise the materials procurement process to ensure accurate delivery time. And they're also going to find out where they're going to deliver these deliver these materials to. I'm sitting here thinking, scheduling methods, and method is on my mind, but I'm talking about they are going to order materials, and they're going to have a place for the delivery trucks to drop these materials off, because construction sites can get really, really busy really, really fast. So you've got to have a designated area that all materials are delivered to. Then there's the architect or owner's representative. They're going to deal with the project manager, probably first and foremost. They have no supervisory authority over any employee on the construction site. They don't. They will, however, try to communicate with the project manager in order to express concerns with the project work. So they're not even going to talk to the superintendent about it. They're going to go directly to the project manager. And that would be the landscape architect or an architect, depends on what kind of site you're on, maybe an engineer. They're going to talk with the project manager who will relay this information to the site super or superintendent. It's what we like calling them. Site supers. And everybody that's concerned with this job site is going to or should know the project life cycle. So let's take it from day one. You are awarded the contract. After you have successfully been offered the job, you need to get that contract signed as soon as possible. If you're working for a residential owner or client, they're going to be signing your contract. If you've been awarded a job from a GC, they are going to get you that contract pretty darn quick. Like probably the same day, if not definitely the next day. And you're going to sign their contract. Get used to it. I don't care what you say. I don't sign anybody's contract. They sign mine. Bull crap. If you're working for a commercial builder, they don't care about your contract. They are there to protect themselves, you, but first and foremost to protect the owner, because that is the number one customer. That's who you're all working for. Next in the life cycle is the pre-construction phase. This is when you'll go over customer expectations. You'll be working for the builder, and you probably won't have any direct contact with the actual owner. And that's okay. You shouldn't have to worry about that. You're dealing with the GC. The GC deals with the client. But if you're doing it for residential, this is when you're going to actually sit down and actually talk with them. You're kind of let them know, hey, what your schedule is, right? And it might be easier for them to see the calendar method, to be honest with you. Then you move into the construction phase. And as the project progresses, you should carefully monitor your budget, schedule, and the quality of the installation. And last but not least is job completion. The last day, you're finishing up, the wrap up. And after the job is complete, you got to do a walkthrough and develop a punch list for your client. They're going to walk around with you, and trust me, they're going to find things wrong with it. It's okay. It's part of the process. Mr. and Miss Smith are going to find stuff wrong. Your GC is going to find things wrong. It's a punch list. They're going to hold 10% retainage, and then you're going to come back and do it. And that needs to be on your schedule too. When you have a completion date, then you have a warranty period. Most of the time it's for one growing season. If it's plant materials, workmanship, and other things like that, it's probably going to be a year or more. But if you're buying products that actually have a manufacturer's warranty, it'll be the life of that manufacturer's warranty. So key elements of successful completion. You got to have that project manager who understands the total big picture. You got to prepare early. You got to plan early. You got to have good management and frontline supervisors that know what they're doing. You got to have a way to handle problems and changes that occur on the job site. You got to have active customer involvement. I love a customer that comes out. I love a customer that comes out every single day, especially on a big residential job. They can see the progress. They can help decide on things, especially if it's open specifications. You'd want them there. And you got to have people that work for you that can communicate well, both verbally and written. Because there's a lot of documentation on construction sites, and it should be. It should be. And you need to do it with daily reports. These daily reports need to include the name and location, the date, the weather, who was on the job site, the description of the work that got done that day, hours worked on each task. So if you had 5 people on site today, 2 of them worked on digging footings, all that needs to be recorded. If there was any change orders associated with the work going on that day. And at the end of the day, what got completed. And anything else that you think needs to go on there, put it on there. Daily reports for every single job that's going on. Status reports. These are done within the daily report. You can have project photographs. Keep a digital camera on site. You got your cell phone. That works just as well. You're going to be looking at the previous status reports from the previous days, maybe previous weeks. Safety accident reports are considered status reports. Change order, shop drawings, any POs that may come across the construction trailer. Receiving documentation when materials are delivered. There is going to be a statement that they give you. A packaging slip, as you may want to call it. And then write down any relevant written correspondence that may have to deal with the job. And with your budget and cost controls, when you're dealing with all these materials, make sure that you can get just-in-time deliveries. Now, it's kind of like bread at the grocery store. Bread always runs out just in time before the next bread truck gets there. Same thing with your materials. You want them just delivered prior to installing them or building them. You don't want to have materials there for a couple weeks before you're ready for them, because then you're tying up cash. You've just bought materials that you're not using yet. That adds 2 weeks to the draw schedule. If you order the retaining wall block and it's sitting there for 2 weeks and you haven't dug your footers and you're not ready to go, you've paid for those blocks and they've been sitting there for 2 weeks. Get them just in time to be used. Use purchase orders. That way you can track everything for every single job. Each job needs to have its own purchase order number. And when you receive materials, that needs to be a process too. Where they go, who are they from, and they need to be documented. And track your budget. Use your cost estimate and job cost system to determine any cost overruns that you may incur during the build out of the job. And focus on quality assurance. Ensuring that the customer receives a quality built product is one of the most important things we can do in project management. And this will arise from accurate and detailed specs and plans, detailed shop drawings. And you might ask what a shop drawing is. This may be the landscape architect kind of designed a little bridge over a creek on the property that runs through it. You know, they did a fancy picture, but they didn't know how to design the bridge. So you found a bridge builder that could design and build it. They're going to submit shop drawings. As-built drawings would be like an irrigation system. The state of North Carolina requires that every homeowner or commercial property receive an as-built of where a drawing of where every head and valve is located on the property. And then have a quality assurance program. Make sure that you are taking the necessary steps to make sure that the customer is happy, that the job is completed to their expectations, and then give them surveys that they can use to kind of help you through the next project. You want to see where you stand with these customers. And then value engineering is the last thing that I want to discuss. This is a project management approach, and the objective is to understand the owner's cost, quality, and time priorities to deliver a product of the highest value. There may even be some bonuses that if you get done before a certain time and it's beyond the customer's expectation and they're just tickled to death with it and you finished ahead of time, they may give you a bonus at the end. But make sure that you're not cutting costs or cutting corners to get that bonus. You want to do everything you can to make sure that your owner is getting a product to the highest quality. So, guys, I appreciate it. And you know what? Old Turf Teacher, we'll see you in the next lecture. For more landscape business expert advice, check out golmn.com/blog. And once again, a massive shout out to LMN Software for sponsoring this podcast and making it all happen. LMN is the most comprehensive landscape business management software in the industry. From budgeting, estimating, customer relationship management, time tracking, and so much more, it's the true do-it-all tool for your landscape business and provides a platform to scale your company to the next level. And the best part about LMN is that they have a free version which you can use today if you choose to. Just visit golmn.com/free to learn more and start taking advantage of the software that's helped me grow my business into a successful, sustainable, and profitable company. That's golmn.com/free. And thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you in the next lecture. And that wraps up this episode of the Podscape. Thank you so much for joining us here, guys. I love each and every one of you. Life lessons and landscape lectures brought to you by the Turf Teacher and LMN Software. We'll see you in the next episode. Turf Teacher out.